Homeland Security. The Obama administration and the Clinton campaign vowed to increase our Middle Eastern refugee numbers astronomically. And this really bothers me. If Congress fails to act, the freedom of the internet may fail into the hands of global bureaucrats. Maury, this is bothering me more than I think any story we've talked about. The fact that everyone's focused on the political circus, we're not paying attention to the things that are going on at the border or with the refugees or with this thing with the internet. And Ted Cruz, I'll give him a lot of credit. He's one of the few people standing up and fighting. If we lose the internet battle and we give the freedom over to the UN and these bureaucrats, China, Russia, everything changes. The internet freedom that we have now today will cease as we know it. What do you think?
I'm not that emphatic about it as you are, but I think it would be a destructive aspect of our ability to have any kind of a policy, because everybody would know what we were doing behind the scenes, what we were thinking, but it's already happening anyway.
But it's one of the last bastions of freedom, true freedom. Everything else is covered up and edited and suppressed. This is one of the few places
I'm going to tell you something very succinctly. The United Nations are the enemy of the United States of America. That's it.
Period.
Period.
And we fund them.
We fund them. We make them.
We house them.
That's right.
Very, very. Trump could put up a beautiful hotel where the UN is located in Manhattan.
Well, then good for him.
But
no,
the UN has become absolutely anti-American.
That's exactly the way I feel. I think that everything about them it's in the hands of people that take. We are supposed to, and that's been the trouble of this country. We're more and more giving. This is my biggest argument against the Obama administration. They have destroyed the image of the United States, not only as being the most powerful, the most gracious, the most solid country in the world. Now everybody looks at them as a bunch of suckers.
And not just the image, the actual mechanics of the country.
Yeah.
We have the smallest army we've had in decades, our Navy, NASA.
Navy is as small as it has been since before the first war, not the second war.
Would you think a company like Amazon would actually be leading the space program at any point in your lifetime? I mean, this is a retail outlet.
That's exactly right. You've brought an interesting point. Everybody's trying to do the best they can with what they got because they know they're not getting it through a strong government.
So I'm very concerned about the internet takeover, and it's about to happen in 2 or 3 weeks if Congress does not do something about it.
Congress
has
given away all of its power. We talked about it then on the last show about the Tea Party showing some strength. But then the Republicans got the House and the Senate, and it's no different now than it was before.
Now, we're also talking about importing refugees. I know we spoke about it a little bit earlier in the show. We're talking about increasing by thousands of refugees, people we don't know, people we can't possibly vet. And I'm not choosing religion over religion, but I do think that there's a problem when 95% of them are Muslim and less of them are Christian. The Christians are the ones that are being persecuted in the Middle East.
To begin
Muslims
with,
are too, but it's more Christians than Muslims.
I don't think it's a matter of even of the religion. It's the people have been brainwashed to think a certain way. Sharia law is the way they live by. The Sharia law puts women in a very demeaning status. It means that you've got to do what the imam tells you to do, and that's what they live by. They dress differently, they talk differently. But the worst thing is if you bring in 100, even if 10% of them are members of ISIS or committed to ISIS, that's enough to create a Trojan horse right here in the United States.
And it is a Trojan horse, or a Trojan camel, if you want to say it that way.
Yeah.
Twin Falls, Idaho, a town barely even recognized by most people in this country.
It's true.
However, the one company that's there is Chobani Yogurt, and they happen to be a very big proponent of bringing in Syrian refugees, Middle East refugees. These are jobs that are going to people that are coming into the country while we have 95, 96 million Americans not working, and they're saying that these are jobs we won't do. What do you say about that?
Well, I say just look at Germany. Some people say, well, they are getting what they deserved. after what the Hitler period did. But putting that aside, Germany will never again be the kind of a powerful country they once were, because they have now brought in 1 million in a country of 80 million. And Angela Merkel, I think, is going to go down in German history as a traitor to her own country.
The UK is discussing putting up a border wall, which has got leftists freaking out because that's a Trump idea. There's countries all over the world that are starting to put up border walls. Israel is doing the same thing to protect itself. It's not crazy if you're trying to protect your survival, is it?
No, not if somebody on the other side has openly
Ill
stated.
intentions.
No, they've openly stated they want to wipe you
destruction.
out as a nation. What else are you going to